Recently, I attended an industry event, and there were a lot of great photographers and videographers present. And I was able to ask them some questions and learn some tips or some tricks. One thing surprised me though. I asked the question about white balance, and I got quite a few different answers, and that really surprised me. So I looked up about white balance cards, and there's a lot of different information out there. Now, first off, the term white balance, that's a setting in your camera that adjusts what's called the color temperature. Now, a lot of these things might seem really technical, but it's actually quite easy. But it's going to sound a little bit strange at first. And to set your white balance manually, you use a gray card. I know, a gray card to set the white balance. It doesn't sound right, but it does. And especially when pros do different things, different ways, it makes it even more confusing. But I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible. Now today I have the white balance card set from Vidpro. Let's take it out of the packaging here. Now it comes with this lanyard and 3 cards. And it doesn't come with instructions, which is unfortunate. But I guess they figure if you're going to use a white balance card, you probably know what you're doing. Or if you're like me, you're going to try and pretend. Anyway, so you get 3 cards in this set. You get a gray card, a white card, and a black card. Now, these are used for different things, but it's all to help you get better pictures or video. Well, now what all the photographers and videographers agreed was, if you're shooting still pictures and you're shooting raw, this is very beneficial because you can batch process your pictures. Now what they recommend is you take the 3 cards and your model should hold them close to their face or by skin tone, and you take your first picture, click, with all 3 showing. Now when you get back to post or your editing afterwards, you find that picture with the 3 cards and you use the eyedropper and you click. Now some programs you just click on the gray card and that's the white balance. So some you click on the white, on the black, and the gray, and that calibrates the picture so you get perfect exposure, color balance. We'll get to exposure in a minute. Now the videographer who was there, he uses the cards in a different way. Now, he uses the gray card to set the camera's white balance. And then he uses the black card and the white card to set exposure. Now, when he's shooting, he does a lot of filming where the light is constantly changing, and he needs everything to be consistent because doing this ahead of time saves him a ton of time afterward in editing and post-production. And any time he wants to spend in post-production is to be creative, not fixing mistakes. Because your camera doesn't always know if you're inside or outside, and lighting can change, especially inside, you have different bulbs, different color temperature, maybe light from the window coming through, your camera could get confused by that. So he uses these cards, first off the gray to set the camera's white balance, which controls the color temperature, and then he uses a histogram with the black card and white card to know his dark and his light, so he gets the perfect exposure. Because for video, you only have ISO and aperture control because your shutter speed doesn't change. So for him, getting that perfect exposure is very, very important. Now, the Vidpro comes with this lanyard. You can hang this around your neck and put the cards on there with this quick release. Okay, now you might not want to have this hanging around your neck, but you can also use this lanyard to attach onto a gadget bag, so if you need to pull them out, they're always ready and accessible to use. So let's take a look at the gray card, and we're going to use that to set the camera's white balance and see what kind of difference that makes.
Video on the right is taken with auto white balance, and the video on the left is taken with the gray card. You notice the white door on the right looks almost pink in auto white balance.
So when you viewed the 2 videos side by side, you can see the one with the auto white balance, the color wasn't the best. But by using a gray card, the other video, the color was more truer or more accurate. So if you want the best color, especially in different lighting conditions, use the gray card to set your white balance. Now, I didn't show you how to set a white balance on a camera because every camera is a little different. Whether you're using Olympus or Nikon or Canon, every adjustment's going to be a little bit different. So you should check that out on your instruction book to show you how to set the white balance. Now, not to make things confusing, because I told you I was going to keep this simple, I said use the gray card to set your white balance, and that's what you do. However, if you have a Panasonic, now this is an exception to the rule, for Panasonic cameras, you should use a white card to set your white balance. Now, I got this information from somebody who does a lot of filming for Hollywood, and he uses Panasonic cameras exclusively for drone footage. And he found that the white card worked better for white balance. So that is a bit of an anomaly. But for all other manufacturers and makes, when you want to set your white balance, use the gray card. And of course, these cards can be used for setting your camera up, and they can be used also after when you do your editing. But everyone agrees using these cards will help you get better quality color and better exposures.